and introduce myself. I've been a member since I think December of 2020, previously of the Huntsville UU Church for 27 years, and prior to that, First Jefferson in Fort Worth for 10 years. So I was really sad to hear about the incident there. I was raised UU in the Meadville, Pennsylvania church. So today I'm going to talk about just a brief history of UU and a little bit about the denomination. So who are UUs and what do UUs believe? So we are people of all ages, backgrounds, and beliefs. On the forefront of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender inclusion for more than 40 years. We are people of all sexual orientations and gender identities. We are brave, curious, and compassionate thinkers and doers. We create spirituality and community beyond boundaries, working for more justice and more love in our own lives and the world. Our beliefs are diverse and inclusive. We have no shared creed, but we do have 7 principles as our shared covenant. And I will read them now. Is the inherent worth and dignity of every person. Justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. Acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. A free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The right of conscience and the use of the democratic process within our congregations and society at large. The goal of world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Respect for the interdependent web of all existence for which we are a part. So we started out as 2 different denominations, Unitarian and Universalism, and they were both liberal Christian traditions. But this responsible search has led us to embrace diverse teachings from Eastern and Western religions and philosophies. So we really are kind of like the melting pot of religion. And though they don't require you to have just one religious perspective, you can be a Unitarian Universalist and a Buddhist, Christian, Hindu, humanist, Jewish, Muslim, pagan, atheist, pantheist, or an agnostic, or other. We UUs think for ourselves and reflect together about important questions such as the existence of a higher power, life and death, sacred texts, inspiration and guidance, prayer, and other spiritual practices. We're united in shared experiences of our diverse worship services, religious education, rites of passage, our work for social justice, our quest to include the marginalized, and our expressions of love. We often tell newcomers, kind of like, don't judge us on just this one thing, because it could be totally different next week. So together, we create a force more powerful than one person or one belief system. As UUs, we do not have to check our personal background and beliefs at the door. We join together on a journey that honors everywhere we've been before. So hopefully our beliefs, kind of change over time as we get new information. 7 days a week, UUs live their faith by doing. Whether in community with others or as an individual, we know that active, tangible expressions of love, justice, and peace are what makes the difference. And embracing these go beyond individual belief systems. We are creators of positive change and people in the world. So most of you know I'm a social worker, and I really do believe that my call to social work comes out of my faith as a UU. And there are a lot of social workers and other helping professions, in our denomination. The ways we do this are through worship and inspiration, action and service, volunteering, working for justice, outreach, and mutual support for our members, friends, and society at large. We perform celebrations and rites of passage such as weddings, memorial services, child dedications, new member and volunteer recognition ceremonies, flower, water, and other communions. Our 7 principles are strong values and moral guides grounded in humanistic teachings of the different world religions. We live out these principles with a living tradition of wisdom and spirituality drawn from sources as diverse as science, poetry, scripture, and personal experience. We do have 6 official sources. I think that could be a whole sermon on its own, but that information is on the website, the UUA website of the different official, I think, and so we don't follow the official ones. We probably don't even know what they are, right? So the Reverend Kathleen Rollins once said, "Throughout history, we have moved to the rhythms of mystery and wonder, prophecy, wisdoms, teachings from ancient and modern source, and nature." So what's a brief history of UU? Unitarianism, originally, it rejected the mainstream Christian doctrine of the Trinity, or 3 persons in one God, made up of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. They typically believe that God is one being, and probably closest to the Holy Spirit. They believe Jesus was a man and not a deity, although we do mostly agree with a lot of his teachings. And it was an organized church that grew out of Protestant Reformation of the 16th century. It started in Poland and Transylvania in the 1560s and was first recognized as a formal religion in Transylvania. In England, Unitarian ideas were discussed in the mid-1600s in the writings of John Biddle, and the first Unitarian congregation was in 1774 at the Essex Chapel in London, founded by a former Church of England minister, Lindsay. The distinguished scientist and minister, Joseph Priestley, also played a key role in the formation of the movement. Although the early American Unitarians did abandon the doctrine of Trinity, they gave greater importance to moving to a religion based on reason and adopting a hopeful view of human nature, rather than seeing humanity as fallen and sinful. A turning point came in 1819 when William Ellery Channing gave the sermon Unitarian Christianity, which became the key text for liberal religion in North America. In this sermon, he set out the foundation stones: the unity of God and rejection of the Trinity, the importance of reason in understanding the Bible, the importance of human nature in discovering religious truth, God as having a loving and parental nature, and rejection of the doctrine of original sin. Within 20 years, the movement was influenced by transcendentalist ideas of Emerson and Thoreau. These distinguished American writers emphasized intuition as the source of knowledge and believed that God is present in every individual and throughout the natural world. The defining theology of universalism is universal salvation. So often, they say Unitarian Universalism is one God, no hell. Universalists believe that the God of love would not create a person knowing that they would be destined for eternal damnation. They concluded that all people must be destined for salvation. Some early Universalists, known as Restorationists and led by Paul Dean, believed that after death there was a period of reprobation in hell preceding salvation. Other Universalists, notably Jose Ballou, denied the existence of hell entirely. In America, the Universalist Church of America was founded in 1793, and the American Unitarian Association in 1825. So Universalism was first here in America. Both groups trace their roots in North America to the early Massachusetts settlers and framers of the Constitution. These independent, self-governing churches of colonial New England covenanted to help one another in times of need. So I know, like, when you're in school and you're learning of so many people coming to America to escape religious persecution, we were right among them. The Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, UUA, was formed in 1961, so it's almost as old as me. Through the consolidation of these two religions. Today, the UUA is a faith community of more than 1,000 congregations that support each other and bring to the world a vision of religious freedom, tolerance, and social justice. Does anyone watch Little Sheldon, Young Sheldon? His theme song, "I Am a Mighty Little Man," makes me think we are a mighty little religion. Among the many famous UUs, there are presidents, authors, artists, philanthropists, scientists, and civil activists. Whenever I do volunteer work in the community, I always see fellow UUs, and that is here in Galveston. It was also in Huntsville. And often I've been places volunteering where maybe like a third, and I'm thinking, like, our little church has got, is a third of the volunteers here compared to like all the other churches, in town. So I'm really proud of that. So some of the presidents include Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, John Quincy Adams, Millard Fillmore, and William Howard Taft. UU ministers include Theodore Parker, William Ellery Channing, Olympia Brown, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Robert Fulghum, and Joseph Priestley. Other famous UUs are Louisa May Alcott, John Calhoun, Susan B. Anthony, P.T. Barnum, Clara Barton, Charles Darwin, Charles Dickens, T.S. Eliot, Abigail Adams, E.E. Cummings, Kurt Vonnegut, Charles Dickens, Beatrix Potter, Oliver Wendell Holmes, Julia Ward Howe, Isaac Newton, Paul Newman, Joanne Woodward, Christopher Reeves, Paul Revere, Pete Seeger, Rod Serling, and Frank Lloyd Wright. So we are a mighty little religion. So what is the structure of the denomination now, and how can you be more involved? So the Unitarian Universalist Association is the central organization for our religious movement here in the United States. And it supports congregations in their work by training ministers and lay leaders, publishing books, the UU World magazine, providing religious education curricula, offering shared services, coordinating social justice activities, and more. The UUA bylaws state, the primary purpose of the association is to serve the needs of the member congregations, organize new congregations, and extend and strengthen UU institutions and implement its principles. The vision. We Unitarian Universalists envision a life filled with compassion for all, shared in beloved community, and lived in a just world. We commit ourselves to pursuing this vision faithfully, passionately, and humbly. We invite all who share our vision to join us in this spiritual journey. Our congregations elect a board of trustees to govern the association in accordance with our commitment to the democratic process. We support the ongoing vision, mission, and ministry of member congregations. We do have an annual meeting called the General Assembly. They move it from city to city. I actually have been to a few. And each congregation can send delegates to represent their congregation and vote on the agenda items. Between General Assemblies, we're governed by the Board of Trustees. So General Assembly attendees Worship, witness, learn, connect, and make policy for the association through the democratic process. Anyone may attend. Congregations must certify annually to send voting delegates because, depends on how many members you have. So if you've never been, it's really impressive, because not only we're not used to seeing that many Unitarians in one place, maybe even thinking there aren't that many. But one of the most touching things to me is the Sunday morning service, where they have a whole dozens of Unitarian ministers coming in fully robed. I mean, that just always gets me. And one of the General Assemblies I went to, Robert Fulgham did that sermon. And it was in Fort Worth. They've had two that I've been to in Fort Worth, yeah. Ours is an interconnected association. Congregations are united in geographic groupings called districts and regions. Each have their own dedicated staff and elected officials. They have their own conferences, trainings, camps, and retreats. James and I went to a conference and took a workshop with Peter Meyer that wrote Blue Boat Home and Everything is Holy Now. We are part of the southern region, which extends from Texas east to Florida, and to the north from Oklahoma to Virginia, plus Mexico. There is one congregation in Mexico in San Miguel de Allende. The UUA puts out many different publications, such as the quarterly UU World magazine, and publishes many books by the Beacon Press, which was founded in 1854, and also books are published under Skinner House. Each year, the Unitarian Universalist Common Read is a book chosen by a committee, and anyone can nominate a book, and they invite participants to read and discuss the same book in a given period of time. A common read can build community in our congregations and our movement by giving diverse people a shared experience, shared language, and a basis for deep, meaningful conversations. The international office of the Unitarian Universalist Association includes collaborative programs such as the International Resource Office, which provides resources and guidance to assist congregations in reaching out beyond church walls and across borders, connecting the work of UU organizations worldwide, and the UU United Nations Office, which engages in international advocacy work at the UN based on UU values and partners with congregations to engage UUs in action as global citizens and justice activists. When I went in Huntsville, they had a sister church in Transylvania, and some members did go and visit there, and then they gave us, I don't know, maybe like a dozen needlepoint that had the symbols of like a dozen different world religions, and they were just, on cloth, and then we brought them, they brought them back and had them framed, and they're like all around the sanctuary. So that's just something really special. So there are also several organizations in the UUA umbrella supporting social action, most notably the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. Their mission is to advance human rights and social justice around the world, partnering with those who confront unjust power structures and mobilizing to challenge oppressive policies. Their work is grounded in the belief that all people have inherent worth and dignity. They have the UU College of Social Justice is to inspire and sustain effective and spiritually grounded activism for justice. They offer immersion learning journeys, justice training programs, summer internships, and direct volunteer opportunities with partner organizations in the U.S. and abroad. And our programs are designed to help people across boundaries gain insight and imagine new ways to make a difference in the world. They have other campaigns like Side with Love, Love Resists, and Defying the Nazis, which, Unitarians were very involved with helping Jewish people escape Europe, and I know there's a movie about it, The Sharps, and and a lot of Unitarians were persecuted. So you always hear of the Holocaust being all about Jewish people, but it's about anyone who helped them, and it was also had definitely against the LG, community. So it was really just full of hate. So UU social media is a great way to connect with other UUs, outside of our community. They have news about social justice, weekly prayers and meditation. There's an online church called the Church of the Larger Fellowship, which they've had this, before it was an online church, it was a mail order church. And you could join that, and then they would mail you, things on a weekly basis. And Kaya Hartwood's wife, Meg Barnhouse, was the minister of that for many years. And the Church of the Larger Fellowship was founded back in the days of the Pony Express. So there was the horses delivering Unitarian messages to ranches and farms in the West. You can sign up to get weekly updates from the UU World magazine, UUA news alerts, attend online meetings, webinars, and trainings. I mean, the last few years has really opened up a lot of new opportunities. You can search for books based on topic, browse online articles. There's also a Unitarian Universalist book club on Goodreads, and Kiva that loans money to people throughout the world has a UU team, that I'm on. I've actually have, I think, helped about 50 different people on Kiva with the same $100 over in the last decade. Just like keep getting it back and keep lending it out. The UUA Facebook page has 64,000 followers. There's also a Facebook page for the Southern region. And, of course, my favorite Facebook page, the UU Hysterical Society. If you're not on that, it's just like a lot of funny cartoons that UUs might like. And I do know that there's a lot of non-UUs on there. And I think I've even seen some people comment that they don't know how they ever got on it, but after the UU Hysterical Society Facebook page, they started going to a UU church. So creative marketing. So you can discover new things by browsing the UUA website. I did get a lot of my information from there. The UUA, there's a lot of resources on Pinterest. The UUA has a YouTube channel, and there are several playlists on Spotify by UU singer-songwriters, and I even created one myself. Of all the several hundred musical artists that we've hosted, there is about 20 of them, that are actually Unitarians, and so I created a playlist there. And I know our next concert, Trafficking in America, Keith is a Unitarian, one of the guys in the duo. Anyway, so that concludes my talk. I want to thank everyone for coming today, because even if one of you were not here, the experience today would be different for everyone.